We're back on Carter's Corner. Love it when you press the wrong button, and I've turned half the microphones on that I'm not supposed to, but you know what? Fun and games.
Exactly.
Travis Carter here, butchering the control panel.
What we need to do before... Yeah, okay. Here's what we need to do. We need these conversations we're having behind the scenes. We need to film those, mate, because we got a little excited there and forgot to turn the mics back on. Good effort.
And also because we did the messages after the song.
Details. Sorry, go back to introductions, my friend.
And yeah, so the guy that just cut me off, the good old Mr. Malloy, Aaron. And then we've also got Brett Raponi.
Raponi.
No, well, have a look at this. What the hell is that?
That's poor writing from
Oh,
Dwayne out there.
it's beautiful.
Raponi.
It's
easy.
hieroglyphics.
Raponi.
Not a politician either. No, Carter's Corner, Travis Carter. We have a full house today. Like, this is a little bit embarrassing, a little bit awesome, a little bit cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 people in here.
Don't forget social distancing.
Oh, we're definitely socially
yeah,
distancing
right.
correctly. And,
The
and
studio
all that
is
stuff.
massive.
You're a tool. You're a tool. So that tool in the corner there is Aaron Malloy. His shirt's so loud that he doesn't need a microphone.
I don't.
We've got... I was about to say honourable. Are you honourable? Or, no, you're not, Senator. Honourable Charles Smith, a.k.a. Chad Smith, if you look him up on the good old Stalk book.
Good evening, everybody.
Good morning. So that was Charles Smith. We have the elegant and beautiful Elaine.
Oh, Travis, that'll get you nowhere.
Lies. Flattery gets you everywhere. Obviously, and we also got the 2 gentlemen from Family Children's Rights, FACRA. You can look them up on the good old Facebook, as the Mighty Car mods call it, Faceballs. Is it FACRA or Family Children's Rights Australia?
Either one will find us. The
Yep.
abbreviation looks good, yeah.
Okay, so you just need to get a little bit closer to your mic there on that one.
Okay.
So either works to get them onto the things. They've also got a YouTube channel, which is Family Children's Rights Australia. It's got their logo on it, and also a website. I think it's facragroup.com.au from memory.
And also, when you see us on the bridges, how about coming and joining us?
Yes.
We
so,
need bodies on the bridges to put some pressure on the government.
Yeah. So for those who didn't hear that one before, some of the things that the FACRA boys and girls do, they do awareness events. So they jump onto the bridges on the Kwinana and Mitchell Freeway, and they've got these absolutely awesome banners that they tie down. They're never going to go away. They're really well made banners. They're very, very safe. And they hang messages of support over the bridges, so the people doing their peak hour traffic can have a bit of a read, have a bit of entertainment, toot their horns a little bit, say how awesome everyone is. And I was lucky enough to actually be a presenter for one of these for them. We do a bit of a drive, and we got to have Dr. Augusto Zimmerman come for a drive with us. And it's kind of cool because even though the media doesn't want to talk about it, we had over 50,000 interactions with one of the protests, which is, I think that's borderline viral. It was massively successful. The other one they go to the family law courts for people who don't have any support. Now, remember, this isn't gender. This isn't a man thing. This isn't a women thing. They go there to support anyone who needs help dealing with a very, very bad system. I know there was one couple there. It was a set of grandparents. Their grandchild was being abused by one of the parents, and they were trying to save this child. And so FACRA went out and gave the grandparents the support that they needed to get things done. So I just want to say a massive thank you to FACRA for their efforts and everything like that. Now, I've been waffling on for too long. We've been talking about some of the problems. Hey, ease up, Chad. We've been talking about some of the problems with the family law court. Obviously, the main family law court issues is a federal side of things, but there's a lot that can be done on the WA Parliament side of things. So this is awesome having Charles Smith from the Western Australia Party here. Now, Charles, I'm not putting you on the spot here. What is the West Australian Party doing to help these guys with the problems? And just a quick reminder, guys, please pop your phones onto silent for us. They do show up on microphones.
I'm happy to say what my own personal opinion is and what the Western Australian Party opinion is on the Commonwealth Family Law Court. And that is the Family Law Court is a court of injustice. That's obvious for all who get involved with that law court, who spend years in that nightmare, and something which costs some people hundreds of thousands of dollars to get through. Obviously, it's in need of enormous reform, and I hope the current inquiry in Canberra actually yields something useful.
Yep.
I am somewhat cynical in all parliamentary inquiries from my experience so far. However, look, in terms of what we can do here in WA, you've just said it's a Commonwealth issue. The Family Court Act is a Commonwealth piece of legislation.
Mm-hmm.
We have legislation here that is in harmony with that. So it goes from that piece of legislation.
Mm-hmm.
In practical terms, what we can do, and it's something which I can guarantee listeners who have an interest in family court, is if I am returned back to the Parliament in numbers of my party, we will force the government to review the Violence Restraining Orders Act
Finally.
and inquire why it is being such a disaster for families, in particular in obtaining restraining orders under false pretenses in court. And I am personally interested in, when these things go to a trial hearing, which they often do, if the application is found to be false or a complete lie or similar, then I think there needs to be some serious consequences for obtaining a restraining order under complete false premises.
Yep.
And that's something which I think most people would agree with.
Well, the thing
because
is,
it potentially ruins people's lives.
well, you've heard it
on a
here.
lie.
Yep.
You've heard it here first. 89.7, Carter's Corner. Charles Smith has actually put a guarantee on that. So, as far as I know, you are actually the very, very first member of Parliament of any kind who's actually come out with such a strong stance on this. So, from my perspective, that's bloody huge. Sorry, I've nearly dropped the F-bomb.
Sure. Well, look, let's
So-
not forget, in my professional career, former to being a parliamentarian, I was a police officer. Part of those responsibilities and duties was serving restraining orders. And the system of obtaining an order is actually very, very simple. One merely goes into the magistrate's court, says, Your Honour, this has happened to me, I need an order. Jobs are good, and there you go. Police have to go and serve it, read the details of the order, and advise whoever the respondent is what they can do about it, whether they can object to it or go to a trial hearing.
So that's massive. That's absolutely massive. Now, I'm going to throw this one back to the FACRA guys and also Elaine. So Elaine's here. She's the grandmother. Awesome woman. So how do you guys feel, knowing how many problems there actually are in the family law court system, the policing system with the restraining orders and all that side of stuff? How does that make you guys feel, knowing that there's finally a politician that's prepared to put his reputation on the line for this?
Outstanding. As long as it's followed through on, I mean, we need real action.
Yeah.
The fact that someone's actually talking about it, as opposed to the Liberal and Labour who just refuse to confront it,
Well, we need
or
someone
refuse to have anything to
who has
do with
lived it and understands what the situation is, what it entails.
Yeah.
Well, not only is that going to be beneficial to the many lives that have been destroyed by false allegations, but I mean, that's also going to help genuine victims of domestic violence, because the courts aren't going to be tied up by people who are using DVOs as weapons to gain the upper hand in family court.
Couldn't agree more. The problem we've got right now with violence restraining orders, whatever AVO, DVO, whatever you want to call them, whatever state you happen to be in, is they are right now currently just simply a tactic. Okay, 90% of them. I'm making this figure up. Okay, so I might, I want to make that clear. This is not a statistic from the ABS or whatever, but the reality is that almost all of them are made up fake reasons. They are used as tactics. We have lawyers who are promoting that and telling people to go and get them. I spoke to someone today. I spoke to a woman today who is not a victim of domestic violence, who is, great person, all that sort of thing, going through the process. And her lawyer told her to get a VRO against the husband because it has so much more power when she goes to court. Now, that is to remove a child from a loving parent, whatever their gender happens to be, purely and simply for the financial gain of those lawyers. It is disgusting.
Now, we do have a lady in the room, and I hate to play the gender card with all this sort of stuff. So, young Elaine, Elaine, she's a presenter for Conspiracy Corner on Carter's Corner. Hearing what's going on, I don't know if you've experienced this yourself and whatnot, but how does this make you feel, hearing that there's women going out there intentionally getting violence restraining orders against their partners or ex-partners just so they can secure their kids and prevent them from seeing their kids?
Do you know what? It makes me feel pretty damn sick to the stomach, because kids are what matter here. And these people are quite evil, and they're evil enough to play a game where they don't care about the the well-being of the kids. They care about what they're going to gain from it. And it's, sorry to say, it's absolute crap.
Yep.
And I'm really happy to hear that we now have a politician over here, Charles, thank you.
From the WA party?
Yes, who's going to actually stand up and do something about this, because how many families are ruined by this? It's a disgrace.
Yep. All right, so what I wanted to quickly do is just jump on the text line. I'm trying to keep up with all these messages coming through. So 0418 897 897. Keep them coming in because we are reading these. I will be showing Charles Smith, the member for the West Australian Party website.
You can look at my own website, Charles Smith MLC, or the westernaustralianparty.org website.
Fantastic. So when this goes up on my YouTube channel, I will link all of this to it. I'll also do the other Liberal guy as well, and we'll see if we can get the Liberal Party to make a comment about this. There's comments here. Whoops, just hit my microphone. What do the signs say? 50-50, stop using VROs. Like they're asking questions for the FACRA guys, what are actually on our signs. So fire away. What are some of the messages that you put on the signs for the freeway protests?
We got fathers are not second-class citizens.
Yep.
Stop using VROs as weapons.
Yep.
50-50 shared care.
Yep. I've read a lot of these signs, and not one of them. I think we might have a few feminists listening, so welcome to Carter's Corner. A few of them are trying to have a crack at us. We've also got a message. Apparently, there's someone who used to work with Quigley when they were 17, and this is a direct quote from a message. This is not me. This is not my opinion. This is not 89.7's. I worked in law courts with Quigley when, I think they meant to say then, but we'll say autocorrect. When I was 17, the most eccentric, weird man ever.
Wow.
Is that about right?
Surely
Confirmed.
that's not true.
Confirmed. There we go. Charles Smith, confirmed. I used to hate getting into lifts with him. Now I'm 40. Imagine the guy now. And there was a follow-up one. He was old then. And I have to admit, I'm kind of curious if he's had any plastic surgery to try and keep the chin up.
Who knows, who knows. But look, let me just say one thing about restraining orders, and that is restraining orders are still a valid form of protection for many people, those who are applied for and granted with evidence and when they are truly needed for protection of that woman or man.
Yeah. So they were invented for a reason. They weren't there to be used as a weapon. And again, there's so many little clever cookies out there that they'll find something and they'll find a way to abuse it for their own personal goals. So people need to grow up. And I think society as a whole, if you know of a parent who, and this isn't a male or a female thing, this is just if you see anyone abusing the systems to stop a parent from seeing their kids, everyone needs to get in and say, no, stop being an ass and do the right thing.
Do you know, a female friend of mine actually last year committed suicide for this very reason. Yeah. Kept from the kids, false VRO, completely false, used as a tactic. This is not a gender thing. I'm certainly not playing the gender game. I believe very, very strongly in equality.
I think you dressed up as a woman to prove it.
I did. I'm free and easy with what I wear. The point is, and we keep saying it because it's vitally important here. This is about children. This is about giving kids the best start in life and doing the best for them and protecting them. And we've got all these departments and so forth that are out there that claim to be there to protect children when actually some of them are financially incentivized to break up families. It is disgraceful, and this is why I believe in politics very strongly and why you have to be involved with politics as far as keep away from those useless major parties who just vote via what they're told. Vote for the minor parties. I'm quite frankly, I'm very, very proud to be sitting next to Charles right now. Simple as that. Because the fact of the matter is, he actually said, "Oh dear,
bro hug,
just a little too cozy."
COVID cuddle.
But the fact of the matter is to have the balls to actually say what you said before, mate, on air. Full credit.
And he knows this is recorded. He was on the show before. He knows we're recording this stuff. So we do have to go to these messages because they're just coming in thick and fast. There's a message here. I'm assuming it's for the family children's rights guys. Too many children are not seeing their dads. No more broken hearts of children's dads and extended families. And then you guys are my heroes. They didn't put a name to it. So that's seriously, in WA, the most active group that are supporting not just dads, but families as a whole is definitely FACRA. So please look them up, jump onto the Facebook page, give them a share it around because the media hate these guys with a passion. They refuse to do anything. They refuse to share the stories about it and everything like that. So it's up to the people to really share what they're doing and make sure people know one death, whether it's murder, suicide, whatever, is too many. So we need people to know that there are people out there helping and there is the support available out there. Obviously, here's the usual ones, Beyond Blue and all that sort of stuff. But make sure, and that's why it was really cool seeing...
Going to dive right in on that. You just said Beyond Blue.
No.
Keep away from that organisation.
What was the other one that was...
Because hang on.
I was going to say White Ribbon, but that's just totally defunct.
Yeah, no. White Ribbon's back. They bought the remnants of it because they've... Yes, they did. Yeah, it's been...
No, it's been brought back, but what it's become is potentially even worse than what it was. There was
Beyond Blue...
Black Dog is another good one.
Beyond Blue concerns me because their top patron is the person who is quite frankly in my...
Don't tell me it's Julia Gillard.
It's Julia Gillard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Can we edit that last bit?
No, we can't, mate. We can't. So that's right. Yes, she is the face of Beyond Blue. I'll also mention that you can go through organisations which are funded by the government. So organisations like, for argument's sake, Men's Line. Men's Line will actually very much sell the Duluth principles and very, very anti-men principles. So be very careful of organisations like Men's Line.
Okay. Now, we do have one more question here come through from the person that was talking about what the signs were. It's a direct question to Charles Smith. What are you doing to help FACRA?
What am I doing? Well, I'm here in the studio today.
That's the direct quote here. The question was, what are you doing to help FACRA?
I'm here today supporting FACRA, which I've been doing for some time now. Mm-hmm. I attend at their events and speak about the injustice, and I support their cause. Mm-hmm. I've just made a promise publicly regarding reviewing the Violence Restraining Order Act here in Western Australia, which needs urgent review.
Yep, and to be honest with you, you have done more for FACRA than nearly any other politicians that I know. Actually, I'm trying to think that he has done the most. Yeah. Because I'm not a politician. I just like pulling the piss out of him.
Can you not stop pumping his tyres? I mean, his ego's big enough as it is. I mean, come on.
Well, come on, credit where's credit due.
Okay. Excuse me.
I'm joking, mate.
Yeah,
I tell you right now, I'm very
now,
impressed because to actually put your name to it and say it publicly or on a recorded forum, something that goes out to so many people across Australia, very impressed.
We're 22 minutes over the messages. So we do need to go to a message. We're going to go have a message, a song, and then there's one thing I want to talk about because we are getting a few messages from some feminists, which is really, really awesome. So let's rip into them. So this is Carter's Corner, 89.7 FM. We will be back after this. We were supposed to go to a song, but you know what? This conversation is just too juicy. There's too many questions coming through. You know what? Let's strike while the iron is hot. Now, we had a question about what is Charles Smith doing to support men, people going through the family law court system, women who have been abused and all that sort of stuff. Charles did a very, very, very compelling, I think that's the right word, compelling speech. When was it, Charles?
So, in 2018, on International Men's Day, which was actually Monday the 19th of November in 2018, I had an opportunity to make a statement in Parliament regarding International Men's Day. And as is the normal practice, I was the only member of Parliament to stand up and make some comments about this significant international day. And I'll just go to the main points about men and their alleged privilege in society today. And this is what I said. In Australia, over 6 men die through suicide each day. And on average, men die 6 years younger than women. Approximately 90% of the jail population is men. Most long-term unemployed are men. Men are failing behind in school and at universities, where only 80 men graduate for every 100 women. Mm-hmm. The majority of the homeless are men. 95% of the workplace deaths by accidents are suffered by men. Men are twice as likely as women to suffer a violent death. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who die in wars are men. Boys and men do worse in school than girls and women. So clearly men dominate in some fields, that being a tragedy. That's what I said in Parliament.
Yep. Now, for the people who don't try and call bullshit on this one, that's in the Hansard. So what the Hansard is, they record every single word that's said in Parliament. So that was done back in 2018. So what's that? Nearly 3 and a bit years ago now. So 2.5 years. My math is terrible. No, we're nearly 21.
That's how I'm supporting FACRA.
Yeah. So it's not just FACRA he's supporting. He's supporting everyone who's got the short end of the stick here. So Charles has been a champion for this for a long time. So I have to give him kudos for that one. So he has been fighting for this. Now, let's make it a little bit of a funny thing here. I want to see a raise of hands. Who here knows who Clementine Ford is?
Oh, don't.
Oh,
No. Please.
I think I've
Yes,
heard of it.
unfortunately.
yeah. So the reason I brought her up,
I've just eaten.
Is that Jacinda?
So
Jacinda?
Clementine Ford is notorious for her man hating. Multiple times she has said that men must die on Twitter. I personally have put a complaint into her to Twitter. Twitter says that she's not breaking any social media policies or anything like that. But I guarantee if you said women must die, that you'll get banned, kicked off. You'd be misogynist and all this other weird stuff, and you'd be absolutely raked over the coals.
It is clearly hate speech.
Oh yeah, of course. So the double standards. But the funny thing is, Joe Hildeberg, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, one of the presenters on the show of all, The Project, did a really, really good article where he was saying that the true cause of domestic violence isn't whether you're a man or a woman. It's all about your social status, drug and alcohol abuse, and a whole heap of other things. That has nothing to do with your gender, which was really cool. But anyway, going back to Clementine Ford, she is probably one of the most outspoken feminists in Australia, and she is also probably the most celebrated feminist in all of Australia. And also international. Isaac Butterfield is someone who loves ripping shit into her. Now, I'm not running a bit of a annoyance on her as well.
Right.
Does anyone here actually know who her dad is?
Oh, hang on, I did, but no, it's fallen out of my brain. Hit me.
He's a handyman who also ran for everyone's most hated politician.
One Nation.
Spot on. He ran for One Nation as a candidate.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
She's got daddy issues,
yeah.
hasn't she?
Major daddy issues. So sorry, I had to I had to slip it in there. So yeah, Clementine Ford is just
She spews hate.
Hang on.
She absolutely promotes violence.
I've got a quote from her here.
Oh, please.
So she was talking to Caitlin Roper and A7160957 on the good old Twitter. Kill all men and then kill them again.
Wow.
Well, to be sure, I guess, but okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how you kill someone who's already dead. But anyway, so she is insane on some of the
Now,
stuff.
hang
that
on. So you can say that on social media, right? But if you report, let's just say totally hypothetically, if you report someone who works in the court system, right, for breaking the law, right, and they happen to be a female, then that makes you a misogynist? Is that how it works?
Pretty much now.
Yeah,
That's the way.
that's exactly right.
Yeah, you're untouchable.
Untouchable.
If
You
you're a
can,
female.
yeah, exactly right. And as I say, for myself, who's a big believer in equality, I don't like these gender games, and I don't believe in the gender wars. But the reality is, people like Clementine, they light this fire, they keep it going. End of the day, how many years ago did we just like to, have our life with a husband or wife or whatever, our kids, raise our kids in a lovely environment, all that kind of thing, grow up, they're safe and that kind of stuff. Now we've got this hatred of we have to be at war. Why do we have to be at war with women, and why do men, and vice versa for that matter? It's absolutely sad.
We don't need to be at war. That's the thing.
Well, that's my point. I mean, we've got Elaine in here. Elaine, who I see every single week, is always lovely. The fact that
You're so
You
cool.
suck.
no. Sometimes we clash, but that's a good thing.
That's okay.
And
That's
it
good.
is okay.
We're allowed to do that.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But why do we need this war between the sexes? What's to be gained? Money. That's all. Really comes down to money and power. Actually,
We've had an interesting question here. If Clementine was your daughter, what would you say to her, Elaine?
Wow, I'd really want to give her a damn good bitch slapping, that's for sure. I would bitch slap her from here to America.
okay, not
Sorry.
really what I wanted to hear, but okay.
No, I'm sorry.
While we're on the
Okay.
subject, we should also acknowledge the women who do get massively behind men's causes, such as Bettina Arndt, Corinne Barraclough, Sydney Watson, Jewel Drury.
There's another one.
They do unlimited good for men. and
There's-
they must be acknowledged for that.
There's one I've been watching quite a lot on the good old YouTube. So look up my YouTube, Travis Carter. There's one. It's called Shoe on Head, all one word. She's a younger girl. I'm going to guess mid-20s. Very intelligent woman, and she looks at it very analytically. Really, really cool. So make sure you look it up. Shoe on Head. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you were saying Corinne before, very, very good person who does some wonderful work. Bettina Arndt, of course, has been a very person at the forefront of this for what, 40 years? A long, long time.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I just can't believe the attacks that she got because she dared be, and she used to identify as a feminist. She dared to stand up for men's rights because let's be clear here, the term feminist has been kind of hijacked.
Of course
So
it
a
is.
feminist is someone who fights for equality between women and men. So what's happening now is they're not fighting for the equality between the sexes. They're fighting, right, we have to suppress men as much as possible to get as much as what we can for ourselves.
Feminism, in my opinion, is not about equality anymore. It's about advantage. Simple as that.
Another really good one
Absolutely
on YouTube is Chase, I think it's Lacey Green.
Yeah,
She's
yep,
another
seen
one,
her.
full feminist, doesn't like shaving her armpits. But you know what? She's a massive champion for men's rights and the true equality between the sexes. So, actually, I'm going to throw to Charles for a bit of a question on this one. I hope you're ready for this. Section 18C, Anti-Discrimination Bill, says that you are not to discriminate against anyone based on age, sex, marriage, religious beliefs, and whatever.
Yep.
How come we've got a Minister for Women's Affairs and an Aboriginal Minister for... a Minister for Aboriginal Affairs?
How come we have?
Yes. Well, isn't that discriminating?
Well, because we don't have a minister for men's interests.
Yeah, so we're putting someone on a platform, therefore we're discriminating against everyone else.
Well, I think we should have a minister for men's interests. I mean, why not?
Why?
Everyone else has an interest minister.
Wouldn't it be better just to scrap the labels?
You could do that, or have the individual ministers. I mean, what's the difference? A minister for family protection or family preservation. I mean, this is what we're aiming for here, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Sorry, we've just got a few more things here. Daisy Cousins apparently is another very good YouTube person coming through.
Yes, true.
Yeah, she's good.
Yep.
Hang on, that act you were talking about before.
Yeah.
So, are you saying someone shouldn't be discriminated against, say, for argument's sake, lose a job because of their political beliefs? Is that what you said?
Yes. Oh, yeah, go have a look.
Interesting. What section was it?
18C.
18. So, yeah,
Yeah.
might jot that down.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm pretty
Aaron.
sure they get around that by having words in the act that allow for positive discrimination.
Yeah, from what I understand from that legislation, although it's federal, right?
Yeah, it is federal.
It does allow some sort of discrimination, as you've noted,
Yeah.
against some people. So it is, yes, it does allow so-called positive discrimination,
But
which seems to be
discrimination
crazy.
is negative. Like, how can you have positive discrimination? Because you're just suppressing other people.
Well,
Like-
this is why the officers of, I think I've written it here somewhere, that the officers for anti-discrimination and equal opportunity have been perverted to the point where they allow people like men to be discriminated against and denied equal opportunity when they're supposed to be ensuring that sort of stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah. So, is there anything that, because out of everyone here with political experience, I think Charles is actually by far the most experienced.
You'd hope so.
How would we, as general everyday populations, like mum, dads, people going through the family law courts, you know, working 9 to 5 jobs, who don't have the privilege of actually being in Parliament House and seeing the processes in action, how would we go about trying to fix this so-called positive discrimination so there's just no discrimination at all?
How do you fix positive discrimination? Well, you get politicians to change the law, which means you have to vote for people who are running on that particular agenda, not the same old boring vanilla-flavoured major parties who just are interested in maintaining the status quo.
Okay.
And going back to making sure commissioners do their job.
Good call. What we do need to do, because this is getting good. Ooh, I'm enjoying it. So we do need to go to messages again because we're trying to catch up. That's why we're doing so many messages.
Good stuff.
So we'll go to a quick message. This is Carter's Corner, Travis Carter, Aaron Malloy, Charles Smith, Elaine, Brian, and Andrew. We will be back shortly. Hang on. No, we're not going back. I've stuffed something up.
Consummate professional, my
all
friend. You're
right,
doing
all the
beautiful.
way, all the
you
way.
really are.
Well, it's the conversation is too riveting. I'm having a blast. So, okay, now I fix that. We should be going to a message. We'll be right back.
Opinions expressed on Carter's Corner are entirely independent of the opinions of Radio 89.7 FM's Wise Board, talented management and wonderful sponsors. Carter's Corner respects the right of each individual to hold and express an opinion unfettered by the shackles of political correctness and without fear of quivering in the quicksand of cancel culture. Radio is for entertainment, not censorship.
And we're back. You know, I think I might have pressed the wrong button. I think we might have been on air the whole entire time there.
Oh, no, Travis.
All that swearing.
I don't think we swore much.
No, I don't think so, did we?
We were pretty
I
nice.
was doing it
It's probably
inside.
me. Yeah, it's probably not me.
Anyway, so we are on Carter's Corner, Travis Carter. Aaron's just ducked out for a minute. We've got Charles Smith from the Western Australian Party. So he's got websites again.
Charles Smith MLC or westaustraliaparty.org.
Yep. Or you can also look up the good old Facebook for Charles Smith MLC.
Incorrect, yes.
Have we got a Chad
Everything I
Smith?
do and say is on there for those interested punters.
Awesome. We've got Elaine, so the host of Conspiracy Corner on Carter's Corner. We got Brian and Andrew from FACRA, Family Children's Rights Australia. So, guys, give yourself a plug on the good old Facebook.
Actually, there's something I'd just like to bring up. It's called Common Law Court Australia, Oz.org.
Yep.
Now, this is about getting Australia back to function under a
Fantastic.
proper,
We'll
a
grab
proper
that one.
constitution.
Yeah, we'll grab that one in very, very shortly. So the FACRA Facebook, so if people want to follow what these guys are doing and help out, lend a helping hand. So I'm pretty sure you can just Google FACRA and the website will come up.
It should come up, yeah.
Or you can just jump onto the old Facebook, chuck your search and search up FACRA and you can pull it up on there. So that was a very, very interesting sort of segue that you did there, talking about common law. So a lot of what I might do, I might get Brian to tell us a little bit about how common law pretty much isn't being followed at the moment.
Yeah, well, the Constitution of 1901 has actually been usurped by a fake constitution that was brought out by Gough Whitlam in the mid-70s, and it's basically doing away with a lot of our rights. Mm-hmm. So that is how basically now half of the population, i.e. the male population, is disadvantaged on a daily basis and treated as second-class or third-class citizens by a very arrogant and out-of-touch ruling class who are held up by the two-party system.
Yep. Now, there's a very, very good example of that that's just happened recently. So everyone's hated mining magnate is, I don't even know if magnate's the right word for it, but we've got Clive Palmer. So in the Australian Constitution, 1901 Constitution that is, it says that intercourse between the states is to be free and unrestricted. So by the letter of the law, he should have been able to come into the state, but our glorious leader, Mark McGowan, in all his wisdom said, no, you're not coming in. And I have to say, this is something I disagree with you on this one, Charlie.
What's that?
The Mineralogy Act.
Yeah, go on. I'm listening.
It backdated laws.
That was a very bizarre piece of legislation that went through the Parliament.
So why... Sorry to put you on the spot on this one, but this isn't just you. It went through the upper house unchallenged. So people spoke out against it. Under normal circumstances, I think this is a quote, you said, if it wasn't COVID, you wouldn't have supported it, but because of COVID and the problems at the time, you supported it because of that reason. Did anyone else try to block this bill?
Good question. I can't remember.
I have read the hands, though.
I can't remember, mate.
Unchallenged.
It went through unchallenged. I mean, a number of us stood up and said it's just a completely bizarre piece of legislation offering protection from criminal prosecution for the Premier and for the Attorney General.
There's a line in it where it backdates arbitration hearing to 2000. I think it was 2014. So this is a Mineralogy Act. Iron Ore Processing Mineralogy Act amendments 2020. So Mark McGowan rushed this through lower house and upper house to prevent Clive Palmer from seeking legal
So they
damages.
put it through as well under these sort of so-called COVID emergency powers. And I think the whole House was rather, looking back in retrospect, bamboozled to pass it quickly in order to allegedly protect the state from bankruptcy.
Well, Australian Constitution actually states if the states do become bankrupt, the federal government will bail them out. So the states can't become bankrupt.
Well, that's what the McGowan government did,
Yeah.
and it wasn't to be stopped.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it did get through. So there's a couple of prime examples where, and this is where it gets really, really strange because Clive Palmer actually challenged the border shutdown. He wanted to come into the state. It went all the way to the High Court, and this is a bit that I found really surprising. The Supreme Court ruled against the Australian Constitution. So I'm still not sure. How is that even possible?
Well, it's happening in America with Trump trying to get the stolen election back.
Yep.
The Supreme Court is corrupt.
Yeah.
In the US, the Supreme Court here is
state
probably...
courts on that one. So just quickly in that one, he's still going through the state Supreme Courts. He's still got to take it through to the federal Supreme Court. That's one where Barr and Amy, I forget what her last name is there. So they've got to go through all the different processes. So it's not that he's lost 50 Supreme Court cases. He's still trying to get through to the final boss, which would be the federal Supreme Court.
Can I just say on that as well? I'll just quote a friend of mine called Dr. Cameron Murray from Queensland University, who on Twitter recently said that the year 2021 has been the year when most people have accepted corruption as normal. We've just accepted it as it's okay. It's just a bizarre situation for us to be in.
Here's something even more bizarre. Does anyone here know what year Mad Max was set in? 2021.
There you go.
Yeah, Mad Max knew something we don't...
Oh, of course. You know, Hollywood, the corruption within Hollywood or whatever. Wow, we're really getting into some conspiracy kind of things here now. Okay, so let's head back over to these text messages. So 0418 897 897. We've had a message here where... Oh, that was a bit nasty. Here's a question. Can you please tell us what FACRA is doing? The problems with the family court, then the extension on that. Is this another stolen generation? So with what's happening on the family law courts, what's happening on the way that a lot of parents have been denied access to their kids, there's been a lot of people likening it to what happened with the Aboriginal people with the stolen generation. Now, FACRA, thoughts?
Well, many who have been through the family court would agree in many ways.
Mm-hmm. The stolen generation was bad. Do you think 10 years from now, do you think there's going to be the same repercussions to the judges and the lawyers that have facilitated this so-called theft of children? Or do you think they'll get off scot-free?
Well, of course they will. They're lawyers.
I think it's worth noting here that from re-quoting again Charles Dickens from 200 years ago, and he said that the only good thing the law is good at is making business for itself. And that's never more so true than in the family court system.
That's right.
That was 200 years ago.
Ever since I first set foot in the family court 20-odd years ago, I've heard talk of class actions. What can we do? How do we sue these mongrels? And people were talking about this is just another stolen generation way back then. And I'm pretty sure I heard generations before me saying the same thing. So, and how does the common man take on a cartel of lawyers?
Yeah.
You can't do it.
We have to break the cartel, my friend.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that, and I know I keep bringing it back to the state elections, the federal elections and all that sort of stuff. If you want to see change, that's where you do it. All these people are allowed to do this. This is something that I've coined myself, and this is my opinion. Please don't hate these guys for it. It's legalised corruption, because that's all it is. You have a look at how much money these politicians are being donated by all these feminist support groups. Have a look at what's going on the ABC at the moment, how much money that they're throwing away at each other. Like, this is just insane. The amount of money is mind-boggling, how much money they're making off this. So there's no way in hell they're going to give this up. The only way to stop it is get the people who are accepting this money to run these campaigns, to get them out.
Yep.
And whether it's you're voting for Charles Smith or whether you're voting for someone else who's from a minor party, I have been getting a message that we might have someone else coming in who's about to launch another party. But there's so many different options out there now. So you've got Charles Smith from the Western Australian Party. You've got One Nation, which, I'm not sure. You've got people like Cam Tinley from the No Mandatory Vaccination Party, who's looking to like really stir stuff up in the West Australian election. You've got the Families First parties. You've got the Health Party. There's all these parties that are there to like really give you an alternative. So there's no excuse these days to vote for Labor or Liberals. So a good way, let's say you still want a Liberal government, but you want to send them a message. The easiest way to do it, put someone else first. Because if this minor party's not going to get in to form government, the votes will flow down to your second and third choice. And so
can I just remind listeners what the go is? Laws are made by politicians. Right? Most major party politicians are incompetent and they do not know what they are doing, right? They have mostly never had a proper job in the real world. They've come into politics as a staffer when they were younger, straight from university, if they passed university, and that is their career. They have no real world experience, and that is a crux of the problem we face. And that's why systems like the family court and criminal courts, for example, are in such a lot of trouble. We need people who come from the real world, who have real world experience and can actually make decisions and understand the implications of those decisions.
All right, awesome. So we have had another message come through, and it's actually an article. So one of the things that people are saying is ABC writes stories like this one almost every single day, and it's an article we did. Women are seriously underrepresented in sports news coverage, so how do we fix this? And there's a big opinion piece about how to add gender quotas into things like the ABC News broadcasting. So the question was, how can we stop this, defund the ABC, close it down, fund Carter's... Oh, hey! Fund Carter's Corner, I'll take that. Hell yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
Yeah, but
so-
you'll never see the ABC asking how do we get more men into early childhood education, which is predominantly a female-dominated industry.
And they are desperately needed.
You know?
My wife works for the education department. She's a lab tech, so she helps out the teachers.
And I still don't have a female garbage truck collector, garbage truck driver picking up my bins. So,
Exactly.
you know,
Do a much better job.
So, and the teachers, like the education department, are absolutely screaming for male teachers, especially in primary school and lower education.
Well,
So-
they need to be in there because these kids need male role models. I mean, they
A
haven't
lot of
got
them
dads
don't.
at home.
Yeah.
As I say, 84.1% of fathers have been removed. They've gone through the family law court system. We've got to look at the real factor, and we keep coming back to it. Family is the most important thing. It is the centre part of society. If you do not look after family, you're not looking after society.
So, on that note, I think what we need to do, need to go to a message, quickly jump onto a song as well. We actually might be a little bit early for once, which is awesome.
Can I just
go
say
for it.
two quick things? I first just want to thank Charles for what he's doing, not only for FACRA, but for separated parents.
Yeah.
And one big problem that a lot of people don't realise is men form groups like ours. Ours is a family-based group, obviously, but men do these things because government won't provide services for men. But the problem we face is when we do form these groups, the first thing that happens is the media and obviously the system will label us activists. And we're not activists. We just want to support each other. And like I say, there's no support out there. That's why we do it. And
You know what?
we're not out to be troublemakers. We're out to support each other and
Well,
just asking to be treated the same.
Why don't we do what a lot of the feminists do then? Because they call themselves activists. Why don't we put a positive spin on the men's rights activist slogan? We're not here to cause shit. We're not here to put women down. We're not here to do anything like that. We're here to support men and women and everyone going through this
Yeah.
very, very troubling time.
And it'd be nice if the West Australian could actually ask our side of the story for a change.
You know they're not going to.
And,
You know what? Why don't we try and get a West Australian news reporter onto our show?
I'm going to throw in on this one. I watch Jenna Clark rather often on Sky. Okay, I see her, and she seems like a very intelligent, logical kind of a person who isn't, an extreme lefty and that kind of thing. So it makes me wonder. I believe she's deputy editor of the West. Okay, so let's maybe talk to Jenna. Like honestly, let's
get her in.
understand why. Because as I say, I've seen her on Sky. I watched it last night. She seems quite balanced. She seems like an intelligent person who would actually understand both sides. It would be nice, it would be interesting to hear from her as to why the West Australian newspaper doesn't run any positive stories on that side of things.
Why don't we throw the challenge out there? Anyone listening, if you know, what was it, Jenna? Yeah, if anyone's out there knows Jenna.
As well. Jane Marwick from Channel 6PR, is it?
Yeah, why don't we get them both in? See if we can do a joint session, us versus them. Do it as not a debate, but just a community chat sort of thing.
Oh, look, I don't think there'd be any debate about it. I think this is a great way of hearing, differing opinions.
The Sunday Times did one a few weeks ago, and it was just an all-out attack on men's rights activists. And
right.
So hang on. Start using that as a badge of honour.
So hang on. We want men to be more supportive of each other. We want men to be more emotional. We want men to be, to see that side of their personality. But then we criticise them when they do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially when they start offering support to each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's quickly jump to a message from our sponsors. We've got a few things other that we want to cover up, and we do have another guest we want to get into the studio as well. So we will do that after this message and a song. So we'll be right back shortly on Carter's Corner. Travis Carter, Andrew, Brian, Elaine, Chaz Smith, and Aaron Malloy back in the studio after a quick dip outside. So we'll be right back after this. All right, Carter's Corner is back again. Forget all the words, whatever. I'm Travis Carter. We've got Aaron Malloy now on the yellow mic. Just fixing
I always
up
love
all
the
my
fact
levels.
that you need to tell people the colours of the mic, because I don't know if you're aware, but radio, not a visual medium, my friend.
Yeah, that's okay. It's still fun. So in case if you're wondering why I'm sort of like jumping around, fiddling and stuff like that, we've been playing musical chairs, and Chad Smith has just put the headphones on. He's looking full Ibiza DJ here, all the way. So we do have a new guest in the studio. So first of all, before we get into that, I want to say a massive shout out to FACRA. Thanks for coming on to the show.
Great, guys.
There's a very, very good chance they're going to get absolutely slammed on this tomorrow in the media, stuff like that. So guys, if you are listening, make sure you throw them some love, throw them some support, because they need all the help they can get, because I've been a part of their group for a while, and the amount of crap that they get from, especially from people like the feminists and stuff like that, is insane. The attacks are constant, and they need all the help they can get.
Funny, why would feminists be against family? It's strange, isn't it? Why would that be the case?
I think it's because they're actually promoting equality rather than suppression.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so we still have Charles Smith. He's lingering around like a bad smell.
Thank you, Travis.
You're so welcome, young sir.
Oh, that was very, I don't know. It put the lotion on its skin. It really was.
Is that my cologne? Yes.
Talking of cologne, I have to give a quick shout out, and I know you hate it when I say brands. Dior.
Right.
Do you know why I want to say a big thank you to Dior?
Why?
Please tell
Why?
me.
Tell us.
So you know Disney, how they've pulled Pirates of the Caribbean and a whole heap of other anything to do with Johnny Depp, but they've left all of Amber Heard's stuff up after she admitted to lying and that she was the one that attacked Johnny Depp.
No more Pirates of the Caribbean.
Apparently on the Disney Channel.
Been pulled.
Yeah, been pulled.
Yep.
Been
So you know
cancelled.
what?
Yeah,
Cancelled.
Yeah.
All his other advertising, all his like clones, perfumes, underwear, and whatever else he promotes.
Yep.
And I have to say, for an old dude, damn, he is ripped.
But he's
Dior has turned around and said, no, stuff you, and they're still running with all his ads. So Christmas is coming up. So
Right.
all the ladies and gentlemen out there wanting to get each other perfumes and all that sort of stuff for that
I'm
other
straight
half.
to get some Christian Dior, I'll tell you right now, because I certainly won't buy a Gillette product ever again in my entire life. So they've all gone in the bin. And anybody who's still promoting anything to do with Amber Heard after she publicly admitted that she, faked evidence and was a domestic abuser, I won't be touching their products either.
Yeah. So now let's get to our guest. Right
Yes,
next
let's
to
do
us.
that.
He's been, sorry about the clicking, the clacking and all that sort of stuff. He's trying to fix up the microphone. We're all over the shop today. So we do have Michael Derry. So welcome to the show, Michael.
Thanks very much, Travis.
No worries. Now, what I'd like you to do, just tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from, who you represent, and what do you do?
Oh, I'm a great guy. I've got a partner in crime who didn't come along tonight,
Yes,
Russell Goodrick.
Yeah, he did lose his voice, so I spoke to him today. He was trying to come in, but just don't worry, it's not COVID. It's just some sort of throat infection. He can't talk, and he's perfectly safe. He's fine.
And for a man like Russell, that's devastating.
It is. It is.
And for the people who don't know, Russell is actually a silver Logie winner and champion of Channel 9 who has some harrowing stories. So, but I'll let him talk about that because I really want to get him on the show.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
We'll save that for another
and
show.
he has one hell of a head of hair. I mean, that's the most impressive thing.
Even like back then, he had some gorgeous locks. So it's kind of 50-50 in the studio today.
Right.
Yeah, 2 chromosomes and 2 people who still have their hair. Oh, no, the producer's flicking
No.
the bird at me. He's
Yes.
a chromosome as well.
3-2. We're winning this.
No, we've got Elaine. She's got a lovely head of hair as well.
She has. Good
All right,
point.
so Michael, you've got your partner in crime. You're here. I've seen a lot of your stuff. I've seen your Facebook page and all that sort of stuff, and your website, which is
Divorcepizza.com.
fantastic. And so, tell us about Divorce Pizza. What is it? What does it do? And how do we help people?
Right. Well, the whole idea about it is that when people divorce, the kids are the forgotten ones, and nearly a quarter of children of families that separate don't get to see one parent at all. People tend to think, oh, look, the kids will be okay. We'll save the kids from a terrible marriage. We'll separate. But it doesn't work like that at all. Kids are really the tragedy.
Yep. And the worst bit is it's generally not until they're well into their adult life. I didn't reconnect with my dad until I was well into my 30s.
Yeah.
That's, half your lifetime you've lost.
Yeah.
And you can't get that back.
That's right. So, I mean, some of the forgotten statistics about children is children of a divorce have double the suicide rate. Now, if we think about that for a moment, if we don't care about kids living or dying, do we really care about them at all? Double the divorce, double the suicide rate, and that's our biggest killer of young people.
Yeah. I have read that in the age bracket between 14 and 55, the number one killer for men is actually suicide.
It is.
It is.
More
That's
than
right.
anything else.
That's right.
It's even higher than the road. I read that it's higher than the road traffic fatalities on the roads.
Absolutely.
But how much money do we throw out fixing our roads versus how much we spend on preventing suicide and domestic violence deaths?
That's exactly right. And if you're a kid of divorce and you're a male, double it.
Yeah, so that's insane. So let's throw this one over to our awesome guest, Mr. Charles Smith.
Thank you.
Honourable Charles Smith. You came to the party with that promise earlier. Things like this, more, I'd like to say funding, but a lot of the times they're not the funding. It's just redirecting funds around initiatives that are designed to help prevent suicide, prevent things like domestic violence. Is there anything that we can do on the government side of things that the West Australia Party can lead, say, to offering more support and more shelters and more assistance for not only just on the women's side of things for people who suffer domestic violence, but also for the men's side of things, so that their support features are there?
Well, look, I think historically there has been a huge shortage in provisions for men who are in a domestic violence relationship, either as a perpetrator or a victim. Harking back to my former career as a police officer, when men had to be removed from the property, there was often nowhere for them to go.
And
So
I
that
can
meant-
tell you exactly why. The only place for male victims of domestic violence is actually, it's either New South Wales or Queensland, and it's actually run by the Female Islamic Association of Australia.
New South Wales, yes.
New South Wales.
Well, there you go. So often men would end up either at a friend's house or in a hotel, or they'll be left on the street. And that, of course, is totally unacceptable. So what governments can do locally, either as a state government or a local government, is actually build a men's refuge or shelter.
What an
amazing idea.
Oh,
Brilliant idea.
And yet we do not have one.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I will go further on that. I can actually say from personal experience, I was physically attacked myself, smashed over the head with several things, attacked with a knife. And guess where the only place I could go? A shelter for men that were perpetrators, and I was told that I had to pretend that I was a perpetrator, otherwise I wouldn't be given shelter. That is how screwed up this system is, and I wouldn't do that because I didn't want to be around those kind of people. So ultimately I slept in my car for a couple of days.
so it's not an enjoyable thing, especially
Not
when
at
you're
all.
asleep and someone knocks on the window telling you to move on. So, and you're like,
Well, it's particularly not a nice thing to be a victim of domestic violence. And when you look at the current stats, which I believe are currently sitting at 59% for women, 41% for men as victims of domestic violence as they break up on it, we're not talking about a fringe thing. We're not talking about a couple of percent here of victims. We're talking about 41%. One victim of domestic violence, I don't care what their gender is, one is too many. This is a scourge of society that we need to wipe out.
okay, so we've actually been sent the stats here. So I'm just going to have a quick read of this. Here we go. So from 1 to 14 is land insurance for accidents, number one killer for people. 15 to 24 is suicide. 25 to 44 is also suicide. Then it starts going to cancer and heart attack. And this is actually from the AIHW, which is actually from the government. So deaths in Australia. So that's the formal figures.
Yep. So I think what we should all think about when we're thinking about domestic violence, we should be thinking about the children, because often the female's got the children and she gets to a woman's refuge and she grabs the children, and people just assume that the children are safest with the mother.
Okay.
But that's not actually the case. I mean, if you look at the statistics of the recorded homicides, 47% of children murdered by a parent are murdered by their mother. 14% by mum's partner, and 38% by the father. So statistically, children are more at risk with their mothers. That's not to demonise mothers, but just to understand the problem. So if we have a nasty divorce and mum grabs the kids, that may not be the safest place for them.
I want to throw a quick question out there. So this is saying murders done by the mother.
Yes.
Does that count filicide?
Well, that's filicide, basically,
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure because they changed the wording. So if a man kills a child, it's murder. But if a woman kills a child, isn't it filicide?
Strictly, it is filicide, whichever gender kills them. But it just depends on how it's reported. It might be reported differently.
There's different sentence. The reason why that's important to really note on whether someone's getting charged for murder or filicide, because there's different sentencings for each crime. Even though it's the same thing, at the end, someone's killed a child, but the sentencing is different.
Right. Now, I'd like to ask Charles something, if I may, as a former police officer. It was put to me, the officer in charge of the Midland branch, of the WA Police. He said to me, if you ever repeat this, I will, even in a court of law, I will say that I didn't say it. Okay, but he said that when they attend a domestic dispute, they, as a standard practice, will remove the children, will put the children rather with the mother as a standard practice. And he said that the reason why they do that is because, and these are his words, not mine, that the feminist organisations have so much power in this space now that police officers are frightened to lose their positions or get their careers destroyed because of that the power they have in that sector. So as a standard practice, say in the case of if you were, it's a lot of cases now where the dads are the primary carer, they're at home and the mum goes off to work or whatever the case may be. So, but as a standard practice, this is what a officer in charge of a major station here in Western Australia told me that, and he said the younger officers are far more prevalent in that because they know that it is career suicide to go against the might of feminism.
Well, look, that's very interesting. But look, I can only comment on my own personal experience of what I actually did, and the emphasis is on separating their partners, and the best way of doing that was the path taken. I mean, if that meant removing the male or removing the female or mother, father, or whatever partner is relevant, the one that could be removed the easiest was often the one to go. Sometimes the victim would leave, but you're right, oftentimes the man would be asked to leave to go somewhere which was safe for him to go to.
Right.
It depends upon...
But isn't that a duty of care issue? Because, okay, if you're taking away that person, that's, say, the primary carer, right? So you're now leaving those children with the domestic abuser. So that's, from a duty of care position from the police officer, isn't that a crazy place to put them in a legal position?
Well, look, frontline police officers have to make snap decisions in difficult circumstances, right? So they're under a lot of pressure to take action and to take action properly and quickly. And the best, maybe the easiest choice will be taken to satisfy the particular incident that they are dealing with. And if one of the parties is accessible or willing to leave, then they are the ones who will be asked to leave and given the what we used to call the police order or temporary restraining order. Yep.
Okay. I don't want to be accused of, because I'm not actually against the police on this. I'm really well and truly on their side on this one because I see them being put into very, very awkward situations. Awkward's the wrong word. It's a morally very, very tight place for them to be. Okay. And again, I think that because we've now got a system where violence restraining orders are used as a weapon, and these police officers know this, a lot of them are probably finding it, morally very tough, because not most of, I shouldn't say that, a lot of these police officers have lost their families through the same system. It's a disgusting thing for them to have to do when they know that they're actually going against the children's best interests.
And if you are called to a domestic incident, then you must separate the partners for at least 24 hours, from what I can recall. So some sort of action has to be taken.
What if there was? But okay, say in a situation where there was absolutely no violence, right? So and the people were actually separated. Why would they then put an order in place? Why would they put it?
I think over the years, it's just like the family court or the magistrates court. But they have to go to the extreme, erring on the side of caution. So the temporary orders are there just in case something may happen in the near future.
Okay. It's the golden ticket, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's designed to enable the two partners to calm down. That's what it was designed for.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you said, it's getting abused. They're turning it into weapons. This is, again, my personal opinion. I'd like to see that, first of all, there'd be some sort of shelter, whether it's the man or the woman who gets asked to leave.
I agree.
That they have a place where they've got a roof over their head, they've got food, they've got a place they can calm down, they've got, and not putting them onto bunks, because that's not going to help. They need their own individual rooms, their own space where they can sit there, think about what's going on and make a decision.
You know what? It's going to be very tough. I mean, ultimately, governments still have to put together budgets to make this happen. So perhaps take some money out of some completely useless things and put them into looking after our community.
Defund the ABC. But I wouldn't say that, no.
There's $1 billion right there.
What we really need to do is just have a look at the overall damage to society, the deaths, robberies, drugs, etc. But there's also the financial cost. If you look at the cost of family breakdown, you've got the cost of running the law courts, the private cost of people paying solicitors, there's the child protection agencies, there's social welfare. The cost is absolutely massive.
Yes,
if we could get that under control, there's tons of money for genuine victims of domestic violence.
So we have had some more messages come through. I think it's more of a statement of support on what's actually happening, because that thing is a lot, especially with people like Aaron who talk about their situations where they have been the victims of domestic violence. A lot of the response from, especially people on the left, the people of the feminists, they say, "Oh no, that doesn't happen," sort of thing. So we've got a person here messaging through. Man gets kicked out of the house, still has to pay the mortgage. They don't care if he can't pay his own rent. It happened to a friend that was in this situation. So, and it's not just, and again, going back to the cost side of things, it's not just the cost of the government and all that sort of stuff, but a lot of finances, and when I've been helping with the FACRA guys actually attending to these protests and everything, they were saying they're stuck, they're kicked out of the house, they've got to pay the mortgage, they've got to pay the food, they've got to pay all the power bills and everything, because it comes back on their credit history, it comes back on their responsibilities. Their partners, because a lot of the times it's not their wives. These are short-term girlfriends that they've been with for 6 months and stuff like that. So they turn around and go, you know what, I can get this house. I'm going to complain domestic violence. They want my house. They live in the house rent-free. And it probably, I'm not underestimating this, about 60% of the people that I spoke to coming in and out of the family law courts were talking about trying to get their own house back off their de facto partner, who they were only with for 6 to 9 months.
Wow.
So the amount of, and I call this robbery. It's clearly abusing the system to steal assets. I was talking to one gentleman who was the executive of an estate after his father passed away. He was renovating his dad's house to sell it to raise money for the estate. He had all his belongings in there. He was still living with his dad while he was still alive. He was his primary carer. That's why he had the executive of the estate.
Gotcha.
His sister had drug and alcohol problems. So she took out a violence restraining order against him because they couldn't remove him as the executive of the estate unless he had a criminal record. And the way they got the criminal record, they got the restraining order put on. It's from a court just past our southern CBD borders. So I won't say which one it is. And so what happened is she was hiding in the bushes next door. She called the cops because he was within 25 metres of her. She jumped out as the cops arrived. He got arrested and charged for breaching a VRO criminal record. Therefore, they kicked him off the executive. He went back to get his stuff. She was hiding out the back of the house. He got arrested again, 12-month sentence. And by the time he got out of jail, his Harley Davidson, all his personal belongings inside the house was all sold. The house was absolutely gutted, and they destroyed the house.
Now, we're talking about these things. These are not isolated incidents.
No, they're
These are
not.
not rare. This is now the new norm.
Yeah.
Right? We keep talking about, hand sanitizer and all that kind of thing as being the new norm. No, the new norm right now is this absolutely disgraceful way of going about things. It's happening to far too many people. And the law, and again, this comes back to what my comment was right at the beginning of this. It is the magistrates and the judges who are primarily responsible for this. And the fact is, funny enough, something that Charles said before about the politicians who are career politicians, they go to these private schools, they become staffers, then they go on to the next. Yes, okay, I went to private school, but mum, dad didn't get their value there. But they go through these processes, and then they are completely insulated from the real world. Right? They do not know what goes on. And they look, my honest opinion is I feel like they look down upon these people. They feel a level of superiority. But apart from that, it is just ultimately they are not equipped to do the job because they do not know what the world is like outside, Cottesloe.
I would certainly agree. That's common in many, many people, Aaron.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, Charles, I suppose they get lots of their information out of the newspapers, and we know that's very skewed.
Well, the current state media in Western Australia is, yes, it certainly has its issues with bias. I would agree with you.
I would
Michael.
tend to. I've got a smile about the fact that you said state media because that's exactly what it is.
Wow,
it
that
is the
sounds such a communist term.
CCP, times. Quite frankly,
it's funny you
absolutely
say
ridiculous.
that. Funny you say that. So I have an association with a group who are traditional Chinese dancers.
Yep.
Who the CCP absolutely love to hate.
Right.
I'm don't butcher the saying of this. Shung Yuan. They're a Chinese dance group. They
Yep.
practice Falun Gong. Which is a form of meditation. So you might know them from such instances as organ harvesting in the Chinese Republic.
Nice, classic.
So they were due to march during the Channel 7 telethon a couple of years back.
Right.
So as they were lining up to come out, the organizer of Channel 7 came down and said, no, you're not marching because of your Falun Gong is anti-China and all this sort of stuff.
Right.
So they had to reverse all their shirts, turn all their instruments around so the Falun Gong symbol could not be seen.
Wow.
That shows you how much power the Chinese Communist Party has over Channel 7.
The thing is, our media in this state has been a joke, right, for so long. I can't remember a time when we had a fair and just media. And, even other states have a good old giggle about the West Australian, okay? It's just an advertorial for the Labor and the Greens. It's what it is, an advertorial.
Go have a look how many Labor ads are in the newspaper. It's hilarious.
It's just
during the federal election, it was insane. Every second page was a Labor ad.
Yeah. And you've got, groups like Get Up who pretend to be, pro-society and pro the everyday man when they're really just, propaganda groups for again, the Labor and the Greens. I say these things not because I'm against the Labor and the Greens. Quite frankly, I am against the Greens. I'm a guy who believes in conservation, and I don't believe in socialism. So the Greens are not about the environment; they are about socialism, right? Okay. But when it comes to that's my opinion. But when it comes to Labor have lost their way completely, and they don't care about the common man anymore. And I hate even using the term common man. The everyday Aussie, the person who wants to have a barbecue on the weekend with their mates.
No. I'm going to call you on this one. They've never, ever had the common man's interest in heart. Go have a look at the front line of their constitution. Yep. We're a democratic socialist party.
I do it.
Their goal is to bring socialism into Australia. That's in their constitution.
I know it is.
They have never cared.
Can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
And something bizarre has happened the last 10 years in politics around the globe.
Tell me, my friend.
And that is a full turn of the circle, where we now have Labour parties or traditional left-leaning parties now being the party of capital and controlling that capital, and that the perceived traditional right-wing parties are now the workers' parties sticking up for the everyday man. That is a complete U-turn throughout the civilised world.
Yep.
And we now have, that's no more easily demonstrated than the current West Australian Labor Party, who have the backing of the state's largest holders of capital. Satterley, Stokes, Forrest, and so on.
Yeah. So I'd love to finish this one off, but we do need to get to another lot of messages. So we're going to go to a quick tune and some messages, some
All right,
ads,
okay.
and Carter's Corner will be back.
I want to
very,
go
very
back
shortly.
exactly where we started there. Right.
Yes,
Thank you very
but
much.
Trying to
Okay.
keep it on time here, Aaron.
Nice work.
Hey,
my friend.
Aaron. So this is Carter's Corner. Travis Carter, the Honourable Charles Smith from the West Australian Party, and we've got Michael Derry from
Divorce Pizza.
divorcepizza.com.au
That's it.
or just
Just
.com?
.com.
Divorcepizza.com. Fantastic. And obviously Aaron Malloy, Aaron. So we'll be right back. Gotta love some ABBA. So that song was a dedication to my mother dearest.
Right.
So yes, we have finished up with Charles Smith. He's
have.
been a legend.
Charles has now left the building.
Yep.
Yes.
Now we do have a call coming through. I'll grab that one in a minute. I'm been trying to get this call to the desk, but I'm having a few tech issues at the moment.
Right.
So we do have another guest coming into the studio.
Literally as we speak, walking in, tell you what, right now, where's the red carpet, my friend? What's going on? Travis,
You know
sort
what's
this out.
Really amazing. I've been listening for this for a little bit now, but the amount that the echo picks up
Yep.
when the doors open is phenomenal. I didn't realise the door did so much to reduce the echo on the show. I was
Okay.
quite
There you-
impressed.
You're such a tech head now. Look at that.
I think it's just I need a new set of headphones, and these ones are pretty cool. All right, so we are on Carter's Corner with Travis Carter, Aaron Malloy. We've got Michael Derry from... this is something really interesting. From,
It is.
Yeah, no, I was reading it there, then you moved it.
Divorce Pizza.
.com.
Yep.
So a lot of facts, figures, a lot of the stats that the
Very
government just don't
informative
want people
stuff.
to come
Very
to.
good to see.
It is
That's what I
very,
wanna hear.
very, very awesome. Now, the gentleman who's just sorting himself out because he was enjoying the show so much in the common rooms, we do have Mr. Michael Darby, all the way from some other place. I can't remember. So we're just trying to fix up the microphones for him. So I'll get Aaron to sort that one for him.
I've just disconnected the microphone where it been, and the
There we go.
earphones have been carefully wrapped around the legs of this very nice wheeled chair. And
It'd also help if I had turned his microphone on, which is even funnier. So, call up. What I'll do, send us a text message through. It's easy for me to put you through the phone if I've got your number. So can you send a text message with your phone number, and I'll grab that one in a moment if you don't mind. Great things about being live. Everything happens all at once when you've only got two hands. It's awesome. So, let's, before we get back into the family law courts, reforms, men's rights, I don't want to say activist. I'm trying to think of another.
I don't even like the term. I think, look, I really honestly feel that the people we've talked to tonight are about equality. All right?
Yeah.
Simple as that, and children's rights.
a fair, well, more
Children,
a fair,
definitely.
a fair go.
Yeah.
Like, because
Yep.
that's what it is. We just want a fair go.
Look, I care mainly about the kids, quite frankly. I mean, obviously, I care about the blokes and the ladies who are going through this, but I care about the kids more. The kids are the ones that are being hurt here.
Yep. Well, that's our future.
Well,
So
the kids are the ones who've been hurt. They never married the person, and they can't vote.
they
So
don't have a choice in it. So
That's
what
right.
I'm trying to do, because we are talking about a fair go, our future, and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
The reason we've got Michael in the studio today, he has decided to stand up for every single West Australian and Australian and actually give them a fair go. So, Michael, why don't you tell us a bit about one of your endeavours you're working on at the moment?
well, I'll come to that in a moment, but I do want to congratulate you on giving plenty of airtime to FACRA, because
Yeah.
FACRA is a wonderful organisation and it is really making a difference, because
does.
people are paying attention to the fact that children are the future, that a marriage is the best place for children, and that we should be trying to keep marriages together instead of creating incentives for marriages to split and for children to be tossed aside like confetti.
Yes. So, personally, I think whether you get married or not, it doesn't matter. But a stable home life between both families is an absolute must. And
No-brainer.
whether that's if the family, whether the mum and dad lives in the house or not, they have to focus on the kids first. They have to make sure that there's a stable environment. And you know what? At one point or other, you did like that person in the past. You liked them enough to actually make a kid with that person. I'm hearing a phone. Did I turn mine off? Yeah, no, I'll turn mine off.
It's Christmas in here, that's all.
Yeah, so, this phone is going ape. So I will get to the phone shortly. It's just that we're dealing with something else
So
at the
the
moment.
caller there, if you could just send through a text message, 0418 897 897. That number again, 0418 897 897. Send a text and with your number, mate, and we'll get back to you, I'm sure. Well, I won't because I'm just sitting here, but you will, Travis.
No, I'll
Absolutely.
give him a call when we go to the next lot of breaks.
Sounds good.
It's just, I don't know, there's something with the phone's not allowing me to put the phones through.
I do want to add one point which may not have been aired.
Yep.
And there is another class of person who is seriously harmed by present arrangements with the Family Law Court, and that is grandparents.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And grandparents suffer immensely from some of the bad decisions of the family court. And it would be one of the reforms I think it's very important is to invite grandparents to be represented.
Yes, completely agree.
Well, I'm just of the belief that it takes a village to raise a child. So
Yep.
you can't just do it with mum and dad alone. You need
That's
the
right.
help. Because I had an motorbike accident in 2015. My daughter was born in the late 2014. We wouldn't have survived to get to where we are now without the help of my lovely wife's mum and dad, who came all the way from Vietnam to literally nurse me back to health after parking a motorbike under a car doing 110.
That's what family do.
Yeah.
Family look after each other, mate.
So you need your family, the grandparents, and it's not just the grandparents, also extended
Uncles,
family.
aunts, cousins,
Spot
all those
on.
different people.
Yeah.
My dad is getting on. Simple as that. He's had some really bad health problems lately.
Hey, Aaron, you're getting on too.
Don't point out the obvious, my friend.
Actually, he'd much prefer to be getting off.
Well, ain't that the truth? But
Getting off work, that is.
Yeah, that's right. We'll keep it clean for a tick. But my dad. I love him very much, and I would love his grandchildren to be in his life, and they can't be, and that's disgusting. It's so wrong.
And it's for such petty reasons. That's the worst bit. The pettiness.
It's not
of
petty.
it.
It's not petty. It is about two fundamental things: power and money.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, but the what gives them that power and money is petty reasons. Like my case, it's because it's too inconvenient, and then I've got no recourse. So it's just disgusting. So
Now you've got a recourse. You can spend $250,000, mate.
Which I
You can
don't
do that.
have.
Well, just what's wrong with you? Check the couch. Come on.
because I just keep a lazy 200,000 under the couch. God.
Oh dear. Now I want to hear from Michael here because this man is a wealth of information.
Well, I wish I were a wealth, yes. But those people who've been watching things like the iron ore price will notice that it has in recent days reached the astonishing figure of 200 Australian dollars.
Right.
Or 150 US. And as a result of that, the state government expects to receive during calendar year 2021 an astonishing amount which will be somewhere between $10 billion and $12 billion.
So nearly enough to pay off Clive Palmer.
In iron ore royalties.
Well, I was told, I don't know if this is true, but I was told that just the other day, in one day, Twiggy made $1 billion.
That is possible. That can happen with an iron ore price increase or even a shift in the value of the Australian dollar.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you the scuttlebutt from FMG themselves, because I have worked on the FMG mine sites in the past.
Right.
Those trains that are like 2.3 kilometres long.
Yep.
Each carriage is worth about $1 million. This is back in 2015.
Right.
Each carriage was $1 million profit.
Right. And they're how many Ks long?
2.3 kilometres.
It's a tough gig. Tough gig.
And about 8 of those trains were coming in every single day getting shipped out.
Right.
So,
I feel like Oliver here. Can I have some more? I mean, geez.
and 100% of that is all going to China. Sorry, I just had to slip that in there.
Well, it's worth slipping
That's
it
true.
in. The point I want to make very clearly is this. There is plenty of room to give Western Australians the same sort of opportunity that the people of Alaska get.
Yeah.
And the people of Alaska get the royalties from oil and gas. And
Right.
And in 2015, when I last checked the information, everyone in Alaska, child, woman and man, was receiving $2,000 plus US dollars per year.
Is that right?
Out of royalties. And this is a wonderful thing to do. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of the royalties should be distributed to the population.
Sure.
But the figure I've come up with is $4.50 per tonne
Okay.
should be set aside for the people of Western Australia to receive it in their hands.
Right.
And that would be every year
Yeah.
on current fairly conservative projections, and I'm talking an iron ore price, not of the 200 stratospheric stratospheric dollars today, but say 157.
Okay.
And on projected production next year of 845 million tonnes.
Now, sorry, go on.
Then at $4.50 a tonne would provide 3,280, I think, something of that order.
Okay.
I'll get it right. $2,380 per year for every voter in Western Australia.
Right.
And so that's why we have a political party being formed called Royalties for Voters.
Yep.
And
Great.
since over 16 years, the benefits for Western Australians amount to $38,000. The party is called Royalties for Voters, $38,000 cash. Now, the idea is that we say to the government, there's plenty of money left for you, because even after giving that $4.50 per tonne to the people of Western Australia, you're still making 59% more than you were making 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of scope. Now,
Look, and with the current push for socialism and communism, I'm surprised that Narc McCoward hasn't said, let's share the wealth. I mean,
Of course not. Of course not.
we can imagine there is this terrible tendency of governments to assume that they know how better to spend people's money than people know themselves.
Yeah.
Now, anyone can go to the website. It's called www.royaltiesforvoters.com.au. I'd like all 8,925 of Travis Carter's Corner listeners to write that down now. It's
I
let's
wish
hear it again.
I had that many.
Let's hear it
listeners.
again.
8,925.
I meant the address. So forget the W's. It is
royalties for voters.
.com.au.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And you can go to Royalties to Voters and get a special deal for 89.7 listeners, which is lifetime free membership of the political party, which will never, ever ask you for money.
Yep.
That's
Michael, you keep going. I'm going to want free steak knives. Come on.
That's Royalties.
But wait, there's more. Invite a friend, and they get it too.
and if 500 people have enrolled by the end of this week, we are on the ballot papers for the 13th of March 2021 election.
Lovely.
Which means that people are going to have to take seriously the point of sharing the wealth among Western Australians.
Well, I am personally going to go and sign up myself. Why not?
Why not indeed?
Yes. Other Michael here has just written it down for me. Thank you for that.
Yes.
What I'll also do, when I put this show up on my YouTube, I will also put links to all the people who've come through today.
Yep.
I had a lot of success with it last week. A lot of typing. God, I've never typed so much. But I'll have links to everyone's shows, YouTubes, Facebooks, and all that sort of stuff. So there will be links on the YouTube channel. So if you want to have a look at any of this, please look up Carter's Corner or Travis Carter on the YouTube.
Yep, I'm happy to share it, my friend. So throw it on my socials. Away we go.
Great.
And when you go to the website, royaltiesforvoters.com.au, and enrol in a member of the party, because you have to give your date of birth so the electoral office can check up and make certain. And if the electoral office gives you a telephone call and says, are you in the party? Of course you are. But you can tick a box that says, I would like to go in the draw to be a candidate.
Okay. Right.
Because this is the first genuinely democratic political party. Look at the quality of some of the people.
Michael, what are you trying to sell? Democracy? What is this? What is this?
See, other political parties choose whoever's running the faction gets the gig.
That's
you
right.
see?
Yep. So are you telling me that you will actually be endorsing people that don't bring an Aldi bag full of cash?
Absolutely.
Right.
But
Nice.
we're going to draw their names out of a hat, and we reckon that the standard of parliamentarians is going to improve very considerably.
Well, I have to say, I think it might be a better job than the Labor Party doing out.
Do you know?
Now, anyway, before we do that, we have just hit the hour, so I do need to go to a message.
Yep.
I'm going to give a bit of a snippet for something that we're going to discuss after the hour. So we'll be right back on Carter's Corner right after these messages. All right, and you're back with Carter's Corner. So in the office, we've got the two Michaels. Sorry, I've got to stop saying office. I've got to say studio. So you got Travis Carter, We've got Michael Darby, who is here for the Royalties for Voters Party. Hopefully we'll be able to get it across the line for this election. And we've also got Michael Derry, which is from divorcepizza.com. So we're going to quickly jump ship again back over to the divorce side of things. I've just been sent a very, very interesting article by, and the song should have given it away, Craig McLaughlin. The star from the Neighbours with Kylie Minogue, he, during the height of the Me Too movement, he actually had 13 charges of domestic violence placed against him. He has just successfully defended every single one of them. And the ABC has come out attacking him, saying, how dare he sell his story for a profit when he's the clear victim in this situation. And he's also come out saying, you know what? You guys want to try and destroy my career. I am going to take you to the
Defamation?
Defamation. But there's the producer sent me through the details, and we've had so many messages today for tonight's show. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, we've had so many phone calls. I think we've really, really ticked a few people off. So I've answered a few times. I'm copping a little bit of abuse on the phone as well, which is absolutely awesome. Which means we're getting this message out there. So thank you very much for everyone who's been listeners on the story, listeners of the show. This has been the whole purpose of Carter's Corner, is to give these people who don't normally get their media representation a chance to actually get out there, tell their stories. Whether it annoys people or not, that's not what we're here for. We're here to get the stories out. And unfortunately, if you don't like it, or if you've got a different perspective on things, well, people are entitled to their opinions. Like, they're not doing anything wrong. So if you hate them for that, well, you might want to have a deep, long, hard look at yourself and try and think, you know what, if you want to suppress someone just because of their beliefs, ever thought maybe you're the discriminator and not them? So anyway, on that one, let's head over to Mark McLaughlin. Well, I'm really butchering names today. This is Craig McLaughlin. So Michael, the divorce Michael,
Sure.
divorce pizza Michael.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? Like, is this like a big, massive yes, like, to all the people who've been falsely accused out there, or what's your or do you back the ABC saying he shouldn't be making money off this?
No, I don't back the ABC at all. I mean, Craig McLaughlin, I'm sure, has got a lot more financial resources than the average man to defend this kind of thing. So he's got through it, but a lot of men can't. So if he can make a big, loud noise out there, we can put an end to this destroying people for these kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just had a message come through from the producer. So McLaughlin's lawyer, Mark O'Brien, confirmed that the actor would be seeking aggregated damages for false allegations, and that's in quotation marks, so I'm guessing that's a quote, made by his former Rocky Horror co-star Christine Whelan Brown, and published in The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald and by the ABC. So it'd be really interesting to see, is he taking the ABC, the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age for damages for reporting false information? Because didn't, what was the Aussie comedian that got a heap of, Rebel Wilson got a heap of money as well for what the Women's Weekly did.
Okay.
I think it was the Women's Weekly or one of the other ones.
Yes, unfortunately, that verdict was subsequently reduced. But and so is she, in fact.
I'm going to leave that one alone. My God. God, Michael. You don't get me in so much trouble. But yeah, good comment. I like it. So we do also have Mr. Malloy is now back in the office. So how's your ears?
Mate, I missed everything. Come on, fill me in.
No. I want to know about the phone call, like the abuse that you were copping at the moment.
Yeah, look, no, it wasn't abuse. No, we just had a caller who basically complained that they made a call last week, and that they asked to come in on the show, which, unfortunately, from last week to this week, that same caller seems to have changed gender. I'm not sure how that works.
So it's not the prime minister.
Common today.
It's not the Prime Minister, no, but the caller was quite upset, quite aggressive, but that's okay. Look, and again, I just want to say, I mean, look, I think it's really important that everybody gets to say their piece. I think it's really important that we hear different opinions. But unfortunately, we can't help you if you don't give us a real number. If you give us a fake number, we can't help you.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of numbers out there. I could press 04 until we find you, but come on.
I don't know if I'm going to be getting in trouble with this one, so I'm going to say it anyway. So because I do get a lot of week in, week out listeners, and they're Australia-wide. So a lot of people have sent me personal messages on the Facebook and everything like that saying that they really wanted to talk to this person.
Right.
There was a decision made by the bosses within the station. So the person in question, I won't say any names, has done something very, very naughty. I don't know the exact details. I asked not to be told the details because, frankly, I don't want to know.
Right.
That's internal station politics and I want nothing to do with it.
Right.
I want to talk about federal and state politics and local government politics. The person in question, unfortunately, did receive a 1-year ban, and the person is actually currently banned from the station. So I am not allowed to put the person on the
Well,
station.
that probably explains...
This is not a decision from Carter's Corner to do this. This is a decision from the board. So just in full transparency, and I'm going to apologise to the board here straight away. I did ask for what they want me to say. I wasn't sure about it, so... I had to say something, and so that's what's happening with the call, and that's why they keep sending messages through and all that sort of stuff.
I just took the call, and the caller was very aggressive.
Yep. So and one thing that we've already pushed on Carter's Corner, we will let you have your say, but you got to treat each other with respect.
Absolutely.
And if you're not going to do that, then sorry, I'm not going to put you on the show. And I feel kind of bad because this is actually the first person. Even though it wasn't my decision, the show still denied someone from coming onto the show, and I don't want that. And so, unfortunately, we're adults, and you have to act like an adult.
Yeah.
And if you keep just abusing people because of who they are, it's not going to work, and nothing's going to get done.
I'm just a guest on the show, mate. I don't know. I just took the phone call. I was just trying to be helpful, but there you go.
So yeah. Anyway, so let's moving on. So to fill Aaron in, Craig McLaughlin.
Don't get me started.
He got cleared.
I know.
Innocent.
I know.
So very, very.
Hang on. Are we using the process right? Was somebody actually found innocent after being found guilty by the media? Is that how it works?
Yeah, believe it or not.
All right, okay. It's a new system. Okay, nice.
And by the sounds, they weren't using the Dominion system to work out the guilt. Sorry, I had to slip it in there. Yeah. He got off. He got.
Hang on, wait. I don't even like your words there. He got off. The man didn't do the crime.
Yes, he was proven innocent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And look, it comes back to two things that I can't stand in life. Cancel culture makes me really angry. Yep. And, when we're using politics like this, where, you've got the issue with the Me Too movement, which is a very important movement. Again, something that's positive. For people to be able to speak up when they're being, put through the absolute rigours and being treated like filth, has been hijacked again by, extremist groups, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're, I don't know, it's kind of the link between if you were a vegan or a Extinction Rebellion, you know what I mean? Like, not all vegans are lunatics, okay? And people tend to put them in the same group.
I was tempted to quote Isaac Butterfield on that one, but I won't because. But Isaac is coming to Perth apparently, yes. So I wonder if we can get him on the show.
I invite him over for dinner. Trust me. Look. Here's the thing. As I say, the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement is an important thing because people shouldn't use their position of power to, for any disgusting sort of means, right? Okay, whatever your gender happens to be. But again, when somebody or a group, and in this particular case, it's the extremist, feminists, the fourth wave feminists, okay, who have just hijacked it and turned it into something that it's not.
People were just trying to get some money out of it. It's absolutely wrong.
You look at what happened to Brett Kavanaugh, okay, who almost has lost his position on the Supreme Court in the US, had his career completely destroyed, which is really interesting because he seemed to have done far less than the current incumbent bloody president of the US, but that's okay.
Even though he was also another one that was proven innocent, Johnny Depp, they're still cancelling his shows on the ABC.
Yeah, that's...
sorry, not the ABC, Disney.
That's really interesting because Amber Heard has been found guilty, okay, she's admitted, rather, that she actually broke the law. She has admitted to being a domestic abuser. But guess what? She's still on Disney. She's still on Netflix.
None of her shows got cancelled.
No.
So, again, a massive shout-out for Dior for having the guts to actually keep running the Johnny Depp ads, even with all the abuse that they receive. So, hopefully, they keep running the Johnny Depp ads.
I used to hate Johnny Depp because, quite frankly, I was bloody jealous. How dare you be that good-looking, you bugger?
Especially at that age.
I know.
Damn.
Yeah, as an old fat man, I'm not very happy with that. But, end of the day, he's been found innocent. That is really important. That shows that sometimes our courts can actually work if you've got enough money, that is.
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question. How much do you think Craig McLaughlin spent defending himself?
Hey, Mona, tell me.
I don't know. That's something
Okay.
I would love to know.
Right,
So,
gents,
and also,
any ideas? I'm going to
Lots.
I would throw a figure. I do know, sadly,
Definitely
what
six
some of
figures.
these things cost. I'd be thinking it'd be at least $250,000.
Definitely six figures.
Mm.
13 charges. This has been going on for God knows how long.
Yep.
Me Too movement. So, do you think it's tipped the seven figures? Do you think it's in the millions?
I just don't
Because
know.
I always remember my first time I ever went down to the family law courts with the FACRA guys to see what they were about. I was still on the fence whether I'd help them or not.
Yep.
And I saw this one gentleman walk out, bawling his eyes out, and he just walked straight out into traffic and tried to walk into
It's so graphic.
oncoming traffic. And I saw the guy stop him. And I do not doubt that if the FACRA guys were not at the family law court, and this is in Perth,
Yep.
if they were not there, I strongly believe this guy would be another statistic today. So, and I was talking to another gentleman there. No kids involved. This was just allegations from his ex-partner. He's already spent $2 million in defending himself. So it's just astronomical the amount of money that these guys spend on it. So it's insane.
2 years ago, and I don't want to get too personal here, and I certainly wouldn't mention any names, but 2 years ago I pulled a noose off a father's neck. Had to go to someone's house, and we found him like that. It is the most graphic thing, and the fact is, why was he about to kill himself? Why was he doing it? Because false allegations and unable to see his little girl.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, so
shocking.
we've got some messages going in about the Craig McLaughlin one.
Yep.
The problem is that he takes civil action to sue his false accusers. Even if he wins, he won't be adequately compensated for his losses. There needs to be criminal law for people who use the law as a weapon of social or gender warfare. And I actually like that, gender warfare.
Yeah, yeah.
That's heavy words. So,
Gentlemen,
but
what are your
accurate.
thoughts on this?
Well, false allegations are very bad. There are a number of studies around the world, but typically we only hear about what's happening in Australia, and there's not that much. But there was a study done in the UK by Professor Tommy McKay, and he looked at over 100 family law cases where there were severe allegations of sexual and physical abuse. And he followed those through, and it was determined by the family court that 70% of those were false.
Yep.
70%. Now, there are 25% undeterminable and 5% that they determined were true.
Right.
So if you apply the same sort of percentage to the undetermined ones as the determined to be false,
Yep.
the overwhelming majority are false.
Of course they are. Of
It's
course
just
they are.
unbelievable.
Of course, as I say, it is the golden ticket. It's all it is, and it's it's a way to ensure your lifestyle, quite frankly. Because if you've got full custody, and say that one of the parties has got a really good paying job or whatever, you have just taken out an insurance policy for your income for the next 18 years.
Yeah.
And it's criminal. But hey, we've got judges out there, we've got magistrates out there who are either just too blind to it, right? Or maybe, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, what we can do is go back in history and have a look at mankind in the past, and some of the major religions required that you had witnesses.
Yeah.
So you can't just make an allegation unsubstantiated, and if you make an allegation and it's unsubstantiated, you're actually committing a crime.
Well,
Now that sounds horrific to us and offensive, but it's a whole different lifestyle. So what you do is the people at a risk of being injured, maybe children or wives, etc., they are cared for and looked after.
But you've just said children or wives, so you've just bought into the narrative, right? That's the problem, isn't it?
Well, I suppose so, yeah.
It is like this. Now, I wanted to bring the audio on tonight, but unfortunately, there was time restraints. It wasn't able to happen. But I have audio of the message, the on hold music for the Department of Children's Protection. Okay, I believe they have recently changed it because they've changed their name again for the 48th time this month. Now, I will paraphrase, but I'll be as accurate as I possibly can be. A lovely bit of music plays, and then it goes on to say, this is the hold music. Okay, this is what while you're waiting to speak to someone. Yeah. Okay, it says, the department is here to protect women and children against violence and domestic violence, so forth in their homes, and that's bit. Okay, so it's to protect women and children. Then a little bit of music passes. Then it comes in and says, the department also has processes to help men change their violent ways. Quote, unquote. Men change their violent ways. The assumption right there by our Western Australian government, by the people making decisions on the safety of our children, is that the man is guilty already. Yep. That is rubbish.
It is wrong.
It's actually definitely wrong because, we've got this study by the Australian Institute of Criminology over a 12-year period that looked at all homicides.
Yep.
And they've determined that 47% of the children that are killed by parents are killed by their mother.
Yep. Now, I'll even go further on that. I looked at the figures from the last 3 years and it was, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm right here. You were 69% more likely to be killed by your mother than your father.
It would be something like that because I've been gathering a lot of this information and putting it up on the Spickock Facebook page, and I will be publishing it.
And the point here, and I think it's got to be said again, unfortunately this is one of these things you've got to repeat and repeat. This is not about women versus men or vice versa. And this is not, and certainly I'm not saying, from my point of view, I'm not saying all women are like this. This is unfortunately a nasty minority of women. Most women are not like this, okay? Most men are not violent, right? That's just the reality. But unfortunately, because when there's money involved and power involved, this gets twisted and turned into something that it's not. Right. Now, basically, I know I have beautiful children, amazing children. Okay, 4 beautiful girls, 2 amazing sons. I know, how much do you think this hurts me in my heart that I know that unless we work our butts off, my sons will lose their children. Yep. When I'm in McDonald's or wherever I happen to be and I see a dad playing with their son or their daughter, it breaks my heart that I know that statistically there's very little chance that will continue.
Well, I'd like to put a little word in there because when we're talking about the children that are harmed by one parent or the other, a significant number of children, I don't have the figures, but anecdotally, a significant number of children are harmed by the next spouse of their mother.
Very true.
Or the next boyfriend of their mother. I think there's a very significant number of children are in that very category.
Now, why would the mother not step up and remove the children from that environment and remove that new perpetrator of violence? Why would they? Now, unless it was self-interest, unless it was, they're putting themselves in front of their children, why would they not end that relationship? You should put your children first. If your children are being hurt, if I was in a relationship...
You've got to save them. You've got to save them.
If I was in a relationship and the woman in my life was hurting my children, there's the door, honey. Boom, 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 gone. Now, your children come first. So those people should be prosecuted.
Now, we have just hit the 24-minute pass. 24 minutes past what we're meant to do for this show.
I know.
So, we always do it now.
We do.
It's a good thing we do have that buffer.
Keep pushing the envelope.
Oh, of course. So we do need to play some messages. So we will be back very, very shortly.
We don't push the envelope. We kick the post box down around here.
I think we've gone. It'll be very interesting to see the backlash from today's show. So anyway, so this is Carter's Corner with Travis Carter, Aaron Malloy. We've got Michael Derry from divorcepizza.com and also Michael Darby from
Royalties for Voters. And go to royaltiesforvoters.com.au.
Perfect. We'll be right back after this.
Champagne music, my friend.
Oh, no, it's awesome. It's a good old Craig McLaughlin there. So we have to throw him a bit of love. So we did a bit of Rocky Horror Show for him. I don't know if he wants to hear that song anymore. But
I know, he's done all right out of the royalties. No, he hasn't actually, because he's now spent, we don't know how much, fighting for his career and his life. And let's face it, they've thrown enough mud out there that is stuck for life, and he will forever carry that legacy of that abuse that's gone through.
Yeah. So anyway, before we get too far into it, Carter's Corner, Travis Carter, Michael Derry from divorcepizza.com, Michael Darby from cashforvoters.com.
Royalties for Voters. Oh, and you can go to the website royaltiesforvoters.com.au. And I want to make the point that...
Get Aaron.
Oh, you're going to be... Haven't you introduced the...
No, I skipped him.
He's the best-looking fella here. You should introduce him now.
But you guys are the more important ones. So, no, we've got Aaron Malloy here as well on the mic, giving everyone the woolies. So we do have Aaron Malloy here, Aaron from...
Thanks,
you can catch him on Friday Fastlane, 3 to 6 on 89.7.
You certainly can.
You still doing your Monday show?
Yeah.
Manic Mondays.
Yeah,
So
Manic
that's
Monday.
again 3 to 6 Manic Mondays.
Yep.
And he jumps into Roscoe's and Luscious.
Well, no,
comedy.
not anymore, unfortunately.
He's shaved his hair.
I know, but the show is no more, unfortunately, on
So the Hunter Brothers not doing it anymore?
No, they've got Live and Loose, fantastic show on Thursday, just to change the format on Friday. So, yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
Live
But-
and Loose Thursdays. What time is it?
That's from 6, fantastic show, 6 till 8, be part of
Fantastic.
it.
Yep. All right, so Michael, you were saying.
Yes, I was going to mention that in some jurisdictions, and don't claim to be a lawyer, in some jurisdictions there is a remedy of criminal defamation, where defamation has been conducted and has persisted, even though the perpetrators knew that it was wrong and defamatory. And that may well be the circumstance that Craig McLaughlin might find himself in, where where the transgressors receive a criminal penalty on top of the defamation payout, which he certainly deserves.
That's it. I work in the entertainment industry. Okay, it's a very touchy-feely industry. So when I go places, I get hugs all the time. It's part of the game. So the fact that they've turned something quite innocent and part of everyday life in that industry, and they've turned it into something that's not, it just shows that the criminal mentality, quite frankly, of them, and it sucks because of so many reasons, but it also has a filter down effect. Right, so you literally, people in entertainment now are concerned about making physical contact with others. It's ridiculous. It's all consensual. It's just.
I hate that word. That's nearly as bad as flaccid.
Okay, well, let's just move on with moist. We'll move on with moist.
But this does permeate through the community.
It does.
And one effect of this sort of mentality is that it is so hard now to find anywhere a male teacher in a primary school.
No way, exactly.
Because men are being bullied into being frightened of going anywhere near children. And children who desperately need a male role model in a school have great difficulty in finding one anywhere.
I don't know if you're aware of this fact. But
sorry, before we do this, I really want to share one of the guys I used to work with when I left high school. I worked many different jobs because I needed the money.
Yep.
One of the guys I worked with was a qualified teacher who's on the sex offender list because the child's dad suffered a heart attack, died. They broke the news to this child at school. And he said, no, stuff you. I'm going to comfort this child at the cost of jail time and his job.
So he hugged the child and that cost him.
He held the child for half an hour while they waited for the parents to get there.
Wow.
And he lost his job.
Well, just talking about the fact of why male teachers are so important in school is because, again, an accurate stat. Currently, 51% of children who have been separated from their father for more than 1 year never have an overnight stay ever again. So the father has been erased, in this situation. Yep. So with that, where do they get their positive male role models from? And that's, when we talk about adolescent crime and all that sort of thing, these are kids who are looking for answers. They are looking for someone to give them, support and guidance, and they fall into the wrong hands because there's no one there.
I have to give a shout out, and I have to say he was one of the best guests on this show, and his name was John Ashik. He was from the president from the South Sudanese community, and Aaron is grinning, grimacing because it was such a great show. Like so many differing opinions on that. It was absolutely phenomenal. Now I don't know if you noticed this. The pen he was writing with was actually a part of the Fathering Project. They run the project at my daughter's school, and what it is telling all men to step up, especially for kids that don't have that father figure in their family, to help them out. So. A great project. So if you do know of anyone that's part of the Fathering Project, it works an absolute wonder.
And just so you know, if you are an alienated father and you've been pushed out of the life of your children and had a violence restraining order under false pretenses, you can't be part of any of these processes.
Which is absolutely disgusting. So we do need to wrap up the show for the night.
We do.
It's been phenomenal. It's been hilariously... Wow, all over the shop. It's been
really
an
has been.
Awesome show.
Wild ride, my friend, wild ride.
I have to say a massive thank you to all of our guests that came in today. So we had Brett, I'm done butchered his name again. Brett from the Liberal Party, who was the Liberal candidate for Lansdale. So I wish Brett the best of luck coming up. We had Charles Smith. We had Brian Andrews and Brian Edwards and Andrew from Family and Children's Rights Australia. We got Michael Derry from divorcepizza.com.au and Michael Darby from
Royalties for Voters.
Spot on. So royaltyforvoters.com.au. Go check it out. Make sure you jump on board. Help him out because I think the magic number is 500 people for the membership. We really need these minor parties to step up, get a bit of airtime. So that's why the show's here, and really, really give the majors a real run for their money. And I have to eat a bit of humble pie here. Thank you, Liberal Party, for coming on the show.
Pretty impressed, actually.
Yeah,
Very
so
impressed.
they had the courage to get on. Now, I'm about to sneeze.
Look at that for sound effects.
Oh, gotta love my hay fever. We had someone come through and they want to do a Clementine Ford joke.
Oh,
and
dear.
I don't know if I should be saying this or not, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Please don't.
How many feminists does it take to change a light bulb?
Don't know.
None. It's not the light bulb that needs changing.
Oh!
And on that note, that's been Carter's Corner for the night. Thank you very much for watching.
And very happy Christmas to everybody.
Absolutely.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas. Oh, yes. Merry Christmas. Not have a happy whatever. Merry Christmas.
You know what?
Hope you've got a tree. I hope that you're thinking about God if that's your thing. Merry Christmas.
Bit that shits me the boat most about Christmas. They advertise it in October when Halloween's not even finished. So, you know what? Stuff yous all. Happy Easter. And that's Carter's Corner. We'll see you guys next week.